where the legends play. Willie 1550 and 98.7. Hello there, I'm Kenny Graves, and on the line with me right now, he is a Grammy-winning singer, songwriter, and performer extraordinaire, and a true country music superstar, still bringing that great sound, Mr. Rick Trevino. Mr. Rick, how are you, sir?
I'm great. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate that a lot.
Well, I feel
good to be calling radio stations. Nice. It feels good.
Well, it's awesome to have you on, especially during Passion Week. I love Easter. Do you have any Easter family traditions?
Well, we are typically I do a service at my church here in Austin, Texas. It's called the church that I've been affiliated with for 30 years, Hill Country Bible Church.
Mm-hmm.
But this year I'm going to be I have a scheduling conflict, but that's what I've been doing for the past off and on for the past 30 years is the Easter services at Hill Country Bible Church. I do a song or two, like being a part of that. And then, of course, we have a lot of food here at the house, and have our neighbors come over. And, of course, my kids are grown up, so they're not doing much of the Easter egg stuff, But our neighbors next door have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 6-year-old, and they come over now. That we've kind of started a new tradition with them, and they look for Easter eggs and out in the back and stuff. And so, yeah, it's a great time of year, wonderful time of year.
Absolutely, it is. It absolutely is. Well, also before we get rolling, tell me about your beautiful bird dog Fender.
Well, we got into bird dogs. I guess it was 2010, and we got our first bird dog, and his name is Augustus McCrae.
Oh, love it.
We call him Gus, and he kind of got us spoiled. He was passed away I guess it was almost 3 years ago. And after Gus passed away, we got Fender, and we were going to name him Captain Woodrow Call.
Love my lonesome dove. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but at the last minute, I just was thinking about just something. It wasn't quite fitting, and we ended up calling him Fender. So his name's Fender, and he's great. He's out there just being a bird dog, and he's a super, super cool dog. He was a terrible puppy, but a just awful puppy. But now he's coming into his own. He's really cool. I haven't really hunted with him that much, but he's got some really good instincts. And he's not professionally trained or anything like that. But we love pointers. They're really good with kids. They're good, just fun dogs. And I'm an avid jogger, so I jog every other day. I jog a bunch, and they're just so cool because they'll wear you out. They just run and run and run and run. They're wonderful family dogs, and Fender's just the coolest. We love him.
Well, you got a good running buddy. I like to hear that. Good story. Good
Mm-hmm.
story.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Rick, I know you're a very proud dad, so tell us about your kids.
Well, my son Luke is 25.
Looks like his daddy too.
Oh man, except he's about 6'1", so it's like. And he's a big time weightlifter, and so he looks. We call him the Incredible Hulk version of me.
Got it.
But anyway, he's been doing a sheet metal fabrication welding since he got out of high school. He was big into FFA, and he's been with the same company for about 6 or 7 years now. And he's also just recorded his first EP album with his band.
All right.
They're called Mars God, and they're a rock and roll band, and so they just played South by Southwest, and he's a drummer for that band and a songwriter as well. And then my oldest daughter, Olivia, she'll be 22 in June, and she's going to be graduating from the University of Texas next spring. And then my youngest daughter, Presley, she is going to be graduating from high school this May. She's 17, and she's probably going to be pursuing music. She plays piano and she sings, and she's also really into cosmetology, so she may be going into that direction as well.
Well, glad to hear it, man. Nothing greater in your life than having the joy of raising good human beings.
Well, we've been really lucky, and I'm lucky to have my wife. Solid. She's a solid partner in that adventure. She's really been amazing, and Carla's, my best friend and my rock. So, I'm very, very lucky. I'm very lucky, for sure.
Behind every man, there's a good woman. That's what they say. Well,
there you go.
Let's get with you now. You started playing piano about the age of 5, correct?
Yeah, my dad was a Tejano musician, played bass and sang and played guitar, and he was with one of the the first bands that kind of started in the Houston area with Little Joe y La Familia. Of course, he's Temple, but there was an old dance hall called the Stardust Ballroom in Houston, and they sort of built that. My dad's band was called Neto Perez and the Originals. So I had music kind of in the family as a kind of born into it. And so my dad always said, hey, if you really want to, if you're really serious about it, you should learn how to play piano. And so, I always kind of had this desire to perform. And so he kind of pushed me in that direction to start off as a piano, start taking piano lessons. So I took formal piano lessons, probably for 16 years, classical training and just all that good stuff. And my dad was always cool about it. He said, hey man, don't just learn, don't get bored with the theory. And, he would say it's kind of tough. I know, learning classical music. So he would go buy records. If there was any kind of a record on the radio, whether it be Elton John record or a lot of piano crooners back then, Billy Joel, Manilow, Lionel Richie, any of those guys that were piano crooners, he would go out if I wanted, and he would buy those records, and he would say, hey man, after you're done doing your piano lesson, work on learning some of these songs on these albums, And so that's kind of what my pattern was growing up, and I've been playing that. Piano's my main instrument, even though I don't play. I'm usually up front with my acoustic guitar in the shows. Piano's definitely where I like to be.
Well, that's a good place to have your bass at, is on that piano, and good on your dad for keeping your interest up. I like that. And what other artists or musicians influenced you as a young man once you got into music?
Well, my mom and dad just listened to the radio, and my dad had so we would listen to the top 40 radio. We'd listen to top 40 country radio, and then the Tejano stations. And so those three. My dad had he would listen to a lot of Tejano albums. I remember George Jones albums being played in the house, the Doobie Brothers, Little Joe y La Familia. Of course, once the 80s kind of, you'd hear more 80s pop music. You'd hear more Randy Travis, more Keith Whitley, Reba McEntire. Just anything that was on the radio we were listening to. And then, of course, when I graduated from high school, I went to Texas A&M University and sort of got really immersed in the biggest act that really hit me hard when I got to A&M was Garth Brooks' first 2 records, Clint Black, first couple albums. Those really hooked me. I really got into I love the lyrics that Garth was writing, him and Kent Blasey, and Tony Arata and all those songwriters that were writing those records. Tomorrow Never Comes, The Dance, The Thunder Rolls. Just the lyrics and the melodies really drew me in. Clint Black's writing too really got me excited about writing when I was at A&M, and so that's sort of what got me really excited and interested in making my own records.
Outstanding. Well, in high school, you were a really good baseball player, even earned a scholarship to Memphis State. What position did you play?
I was a second baseman and a left fielder. I played for, of course, my high school here in Austin, Round Rock Westwood High School. And then I was on the travel team, the Austin Slam travel team. And, I love baseball. got the MLB Network, and
Oh yeah.
follow my teams, the Astros, of course, the Rangers and the Yankees and the Giants, the Cubs. I mean, I love good baseball.
I got that. Same here. Same. I'm a Rangers guy, but I'm a long-suffering Rangers fan, so I'll watch. I like players on every team, so I'll watch them all. But you did come to Texas A&M studying music. How was your time in Aggie Land?
It was awesome. I enjoyed it. I loved going into college. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just kind of was. I first was majoring in business. But really I was just taking my undergraduate courses. I was very lucky to have a really, really cool roommate. He lives down in Rockport. My roommate and I became really good friends. It was just luck, because I was actually trying to get. I was at the time that I actually went to A&M. It was about 2 or 3 weeks before school was going to start, and I was still trying to get a decent place to play baseball. I was traveling with Austin Slam, and really the offers weren't good enough to really make me want to commit. They were really small offers, and I just decided at the last minute, I know I'm not going to be a Major League Baseball player. I don't have the size, I don't have the speed, and I've got some skills, but these guys, that I'm playing with are hitting the ball 420 feet and running faster and stuff like that. So I just said, you know what, I'll just go to A&M and I'll walk on and try out as a walk on, and if I don't make it, then at least I try it out. That's pretty much what I did, and just to have some closure there. But being with my friend Shannon was cool, because he was a big time music lover. He was listening to a lot of good country music, and that we had a lot of fun. We camped out for Garth Brooks tickets at in one of the parking lots, to get good seats. We camp out to get George Strait tickets. We would spend a lot of time at Graham's trying to pick up chicks. we would spend a lot of time. Of course, that was just one semester. Then I met my wife, but had to preface that. And then, so I was only there for a couple years. But what was cool about A&M was I was doing these singing contests at Graham's, and I won. One year I won the contest, and one of my friends at A&M looked at me and said, "Hey, man, I think God's trying to tell you something." And I remember that vividly, because I remember thinking, yeah, maybe I should go ahead and do this and try to make a career out of it. And that's kind of when I decided to stay home and write songs and try to make a demo. But yeah, even though it was a couple of years, they're very important years in my life.
Well, I'll tell you what, as a music fan, you made the right choice. I'm just going to say that. Now, take me back, Rick. Where was your very first paying music gig at?
Well, my very first gig, I was in a band in junior high school. We were a bunch of 8th grade kids playing whatever was on the radio, and we played at there's a subdivision in Austin called Steiner Ranch Subdivision. But back when we played it, it was just Bobby and Jolene Steiner's house and just a bunch of land. And Bobby and Jolene Steiner, they were friends with my family. My little brother played baseball with Sid and Shane Steiner, and so we were friends. Well, they hired us to do a 4th of July picnic at their house at Steiner Ranch back over here in Lake Travis area. Before it was a subdivision, it was just cattle, and of course it's right on Lake Austin, a beautiful place. And we played at their 4th of July picnic, and we played probably 45 minutes to an hour. We didn't know that many songs, and we made $100, and maybe we made $150, and we had to split it by four of us had to split the 150, and then we had to give like 10% to our manager. so yeah, that was my first paying gig.
All right.
And yeah, so it brings back good memories. I see Bobby and Jolene a lot nowadays. I see Bobby every now and then when we go to the restaurant. Yeah, the Steiners are very, very cool. Have always been very supportive of their kids and community.
Well, Rick, you'd go on to be doing a lot of shows between the Austin area and over this direction. Your music would wind up making its way into the hands of a producer. And he would come to see you, eventually sign you to a record contract. Something like that. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, so it was around 92. Steve Buckingham, who was the head of A&R at the time for Sony at Columbia, came in to hear me. Now, the way that he found out about me was I was playing a little bar across the lake called the Thirsty Turtle in Lago Vista, Texas. And there was a flood in 91. It was one of the worst floods that Lake Travis had ever had. And there was a representative from the Sony pop division that was vacationing in Lago Vista. And he was stranded, wasn't able to go back to Boston, where his offices were. And so he went to this little bar called the Thirsty Turtle, and the owners were saying, "Hey, you need to hear this guy, Ricky Trevino." And the guy was cool, Paul Jurasic. I'm still in contact with Paul. He's a super cool guy. He said, "Well, I got to leave here in a couple of days. When's Rick playing?" I said, "Well, he's not playing for a couple of weeks, but here's his contact info." And so Paul flew back to Boston and called me here in Austin and just said, "Send me a demo." And I sent him a demo that I was working on and a picture, and he got the picture and the demo, and he sent it to Steve Buckingham in Nashville. And Steve listened to the demo, and he just gave us a call here in Austin. And he flew down right around South by Southwest, I think around 91 or 92, came and heard me at a cantina here in Austin called Lapa Lapa. And he walked in and listened to 2 or 3 songs and left. And of course, I had four sets to do, and I was scared to death because he left. And when I got off and finished my first set, my mom and dad and my girlfriend Carla, my wife girlfriend at the time, said that he just came in and said, "Man, I like Rick. Let's meet at the Four Seasons Hotel and let's talk about a record deal." And so that was pretty crazy. So we went and met Steve the next day, and then started talking about getting in the studio and tracking in Nashville.
Excellent. Well, the debut album would go gold, as did your second album, which was Rick Trevino. That one brought you into national prominence. So how much, Rick, did your life change in 94 and 95?
Well, it's incredible. It was an incredible experience. And I guess going from college, being in college and then kind of spending a year at home writing and making music, it was, looking back, it was such an incredible experience. I hadn't even flown on an airplane. I mean, I think I flew once when I was about 6 or 7, but I barely had remembered it. And in fact, I got to the airport to go to Nashville for my first trip to record, and I got to the airport like 30 minutes before the flight, because I was so inexperienced. I missed the flight, and I remember thinking that since I missed the flight, that I lost my record deal. I was terrified. And, of course, I called Steve. Steve said, "Don't worry about it. Just get on the next flight," and all that stuff. And, just flying in and then all of a sudden walking into the recording studio with, Eddie Bears, John Jarvis on piano, Michael Rhodes on bass, Dave Hungate on bass guitar on some sessions, Steve Gibson, all these A-team guitar players and musicians, and it was just an incredible experience, and it still is an incredible experience. I mean, I don't take any of it for granted. I'm so grateful and so blessed. This is my 30th year of touring and making music, and
wow.
I had my first single released in 1993, which was Just Enough Rope.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I feel so blessed, so honored and lucky to be able to still be out here playing for the fans and to be playing and enjoying myself, making music, because I know that not many people get to do that. And I'm just really, really blessed. I love what I do. I love that I'm still able to go to the recording studio here in Austin and write and make music. I love being able to do that and share my music with the fans and new stuff as well. I'm kind of sharing and passing some of my musical knowledge to my kids now, and I'm just so lucky. I'm so blessed, and I don't ever take it for granted. And I kind of make sure that I tell everybody that every single show, especially now that it's the 30th anniversary for me, very, very nostalgic, and I'm very blessed.
Well, pretty good for a ball player, I'd say.
Right? Big old baseball player want to be, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, I love this. Around 1997, you became part of a very successful Grammy-winning group, Lost Super 7, and you work with some legendary names. How was that time working with the supergroup?
Well, it was a very interesting time for me because I was only used to making records one certain way, which was just the Nashville way. And, not taking anything away from the awesome songwriters in Nashville, the awesome musicians and producers in Nashville. But this was such a departure from that type of making records. And it was something I was a little hesitant to go into it because I wasn't really good at speaking Spanish. And this was going to be a Mexican roots record. And so I was a little hesitant, and I didn't want there to be any confusion, with what kind of artist I was, a country singer, a Tejano singer. But since I had already had a few records out with country radio, I kind of felt a little more comfortable. But I was a little hesitant going into it. But then once I met, going into the studio the first time here in Austin at Cedar Creek, being able to meet David Hidalgo and Cesar Rosas from Los Lobos, and Steve Berlin from Los Lobos, being able to record and rub shoulders with those guys, being able to record with Freddie Fender and Flaco Jimenez, and Doug Sahm was also a part of it, and Joe Ely, Ruben Ramos, and just to be around all these colorful and incredible musicians and seeing the way that they approach the music was just an incredibly wonderful artistic experience. And I'm still benefiting from that today because, I still draw from that experience when I'm making records. We still do shows. We do some Love Super 7 shows still, and I think we're in the works. There's talk of another Low Super 7 record sometime this year, so I'm looking forward to that. I think we're going to record it somewhere in New Braunfels, I think.
All right.
And I also was able to meet Raul Malo from the Mavericks on the second Low Super 7 record, which was an unbelievably wonderful, a very fruitful experience artistically, and also from a friendship standpoint. I mean, he just was a great friend. Meeting Raul and writing and producing and making those records with Raul and Alan Miller, my co-writer that I've been writing with for a long time, and just making wonderful music and making wonderful friends at the same time. You can't beat that. And so that's kind of, Low Super 7's been that outlet for me. It's been just a great friendship. The music doesn't get any better than that.
You bet. Well, take me back. I love these stories. This is a question I always ask. Do you remember where you were the first time you heard your music on the radio?
That's a good question. I remember hearing Just Enough Rope. I was driving down the road in my pickup, my 92 GMC, which I still have. And I remember hearing it on the radio. There's no feeling like that, to hear your song on the radio. The radio DJs and the equipment that they use gives it a little extra compression when you hear it through your radio. And to hear my song and then to hear a Reba song next or whatever, and then hearing the DJ say your name, and it just, that never gets old, man. I love that. I think I was driving down the road. I don't know if I was going to pick up Carla or something, but I was driving down the road and I heard it on the radio, and I had to pull over and just kind of take it all in. So incredible, kind of a surreal experience.
Oh, thank you for sharing that, man. Good. I love those memories people have. And Rick, coming up Friday night the 14th, you're headlining a big show at Pedrati's Ranch and Helotes. Get tickets at FullCircleMomentsLLC.com. For folks who have not seen you live before, what can they expect from a Rick Trevino show?
Well, I try to hit the hits. You know, we just play all the hits and play some new stuff. You know, 2 or 3. We got a new song possibly coming out this spring, hopefully, and we're going to play a new tune called "The Ride." We're going to play some of the songs that I've done on my own imprint, Campo Negro record. We're going to do some low Super 7 flavor stuff, and we've got a little section of the show that I've been doing since the beginning. Is we pay tribute to some of our musical heroes, ranging from Charlie Pride, the Tornadoes, to Freddie Fender. That's one of my favorite parts of the set. I always enjoy that tremendously. So it's a fun show. Get your dancing boots ready and get ready to two-step, because it's a two-stepping show for sure.
Well, I'm going to be there. I'm looking forward to it. I hope everybody else can make the trip as well. And Rick, thank you for the time, man. It took a long time to connect and get you on, but well worth the wait. What a gentleman you are, and I do appreciate it very much.
Oh man, it's my pleasure. I'm so happy to be a part of the show, and I'm looking forward to the Pedrades.
And tell folks how to keep up with you and your music online.
Well, Rick Trevino Official. Watch out for the imposters.
Yes.
Rick Trevino Official on Facebook. Rick Trevino Main. Oh, wait a minute. Instagram is Rick Trevino Music, I think. Rick Trevino Music or Rick Trevino Main. I also do a couple of goofy posts on Twitter sometimes, and I haven't quite gotten used to TikTok yet, but I'm getting there. Unless they ban it. And then so, but let's see. I'm looking at my Rick Trevino. Rick Trevino. Trevino Main. Oh, there it is. Rick Trevino Music on Instagram. Rick Trevino Official on Facebook, and that pretty much has all my tour dates, as well as ricktrevino.com. That'll have all the tour dates as well.
And if you catch his Instagram, you'll also get once in a while, some really cute pictures of his dog Fender.
Yeah, every time the Cowboys win, I put a jersey on him.
Yep.
Take pictures of him, and that seems to be kind of a big hit. That's funny. I hear a lot of folks asking about Fender. That cracks me. Even when I used to do that to Gus. They're, "Hey, I love your dog, Gus."
It's like a member of the family now.
That's right.
Love it. But Rick, I appreciate it. I will see you in about 9 days, brother.
Awesome. I appreciate your time. Thanks for letting me be on the show.
Hey, the pleasure was mine. For the awesome Rick Trevino, I'm Kenny Graves on Willie 1550 and 98.7.